Salutations, everybody. Welcome into the show. It has been a minute. We are back in action. We are back in business. We're standing on business. All right, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a special moment today because I don't know if you've noticed, but the last several episodes just been me talking to y'all. But we have somebody back. Mel Melissa is back in action.
Hey, guys.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better. I'm okay.
We missed you.
I'm okay. I survived.
You survived? You're a trooper.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we brought you back at a great time because today we are going to be reviewing The Color Purple.
No.
Coming up because of the recent release of this musical that's going to be happening in Christmas. Mm-hmm. The Color Purple, the musical. I guess they really should call it Color Purple the Musical. It's a musical version.
So now you're going to see it? Well, unless that's too soon to ask.
Hmm?
Because I was saying, okay, since it's a musical, it makes it more enticing.
Well, I'm glad you asked. So I wasn't very familiar with this film. I knew of it, but it was such a long time ago that I don't remember watching it. So we took the time today.
Yes, we did.
To watch the film so that we could give a fresh review of this project and maybe our ideas of what this musical could potentially look like when it comes out.
And I should have known something was up.
Yeah,
like we're not just sit around and watch Color Purple.
Yeah, why would I elect to do that? So before we get into the actual film, let's first watch the trailer, just to kind of give everybody a baseline of what we're talking about.
All right.
Color Purple is now a Golden Globe nominee.
Now it's talking.
So immediately what I'm starting to notice is a lot of the costumes that were used in the original film are being implemented in this new project.
Oh, okay.
Off the jump. And so that's one of the things I'm noticing. What do you noticing in the first kind of couple of seconds?
I haven't captured anything yet. I was just thinking like, I haven't even watched this yet. The
actual trailer?
The trailer.
Oh, sorry.
Don't keep me waiting.
You keep your head held high, just like Mom taught us.
Whatever I say, go.
You got to stand up.
Hell no.
There's gonna be some changes made.
So I imagine that character is playing Sophia.
Yeah.
I imagine. Which is interesting because Sophia didn't have a whole lot of conversation with Mr.
No.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they change that story up.
This ain't me. Hush. We need to look like we belong.
It's time to see the world. Hell no. Oh, Miss Celie, you look good.
So what's really interesting too is like the lyrics that were just played, right?
Yeah.
You know, any man is no good, don't waste your time. The hell no is in reference to a scene with Sophia that had nothing to do with nobody's husband or anything like that. She was just minding her own business with her kids. A white lady was trying to touch her, all her kids and stuff. And then the white lady's like, hey, why don't you work with me as a nanny? And that's her reply was, hell no.
That's where that came from, yeah.
Yeah, it was towards a white woman. It had nothing. Yeah, and so
man.
I don't see how the man had anything to do with. So they're taking liberties with the story, which is not even an old story. Well, it's I guess old depending on your perspective.
I done had enough of you. Oh, man, all you got to say, you need to say, you better say.
The women at this table have lost their minds.
Now you're preaching.
So that's the trailer. So it's interesting. They really push the dynamic between what looks like Mister and then Sophia, which they don't have much interaction with each other. It's really Mister and Celie, who's played by Whoopi. So let's go into this movie because again, we just finished watching it. I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm not a huge fan of drama porn. Where basically films that lean so heavy on trauma and abuse. That's just not my jam. It's not a slavery pick, but it might as well be. I'm not here for any of that stuff. So immediately I'm like, okay, let's see what we got. So we open up. We got two girls frolicking around in the well, I guess the farm.
Yeah.
They're out in some field,
field
somewhere, and they're just having a grand old time. And if you watch any movie, anytime somebody's having too much fun, somebody's about to come in and wreck house.
It's about to be bad.
It's about to be bad. So they're just minding their own business. And then all of a sudden the father comes out and was like, I forgot what he said, but it was like, just completely killed the whole vibe.
Yeah.
Right.
He either needed something or I don't know. There are a couple times he stops the fun.
And then he says one of the lines, you have an ugly smile.
Yeah.
And so
to Whoopi's character, not Whoopi. Yeah, Whoopi's character, of course.
yeah,
Celie.
looks like your camera's tweaking. Let me
It's not used to me being back.
I know that's
Like, what is she doing
I
here?
have no idea. All right, so
So
he says you have an ugly smile. So we were immediately establishing that for whatever reason, not Whoopi at the time, but Sissy, or Sissy, how you say the chick's name?
Oh, Cicely.
Cicely.
Yeah, I might be butchering it a little bit. That's closer.
Main character. So main character
Abused girl.
is labeled as the abused girl for whatever reason.
Ugly girl.
She's ugly. She has an ugly smile.
Ugly. These stereotypes that are reinforced by.
She's dark, right? She's just all these things, but with some weird reason, she's so ugly that this guy wants to mess with her every night. Mm-hmm. To the point where she's gotten pregnant twice. And so I immediately was confused because I was like, wait, if this is her father, I don't know a biological father who is having relations with his biological daughter. I mean, that's not...
It's not a thing. Even with the abuse stories or the grape stories, that's not a thing.
It's not. So immediately I'm like, okay.
It's some random dude at the house. It's an uncle, maybe, distant. Recently we saw a story where she said her adopted father did that. Yeah,
a non-relative. Stepdad. I've heard that one. But biological, that's not a thing. So I'm immediately like, okay, I'm not checked out yet, but we'll see how this movie goes.
Yeah.
So we go into the birthing scene where she's giving birth to the second child. We don't know that's the second child at the time. Mm-hmm. But she's giving birth to the second child, and then we hit him with another abuse line. Ain't you done yet?
Yeah, during the labor.
Just,
he's so impatient. He's so impatient about it, and no mercy towards her. And it's her sister. We don't know who the girl is. We don't know who anyone is, but we just know that she's being abused at this point. Like,
yeah, we don't know anybody's name. We don't at this point in the movie. We don't know anyone's name yet. All we saw was these two innocent girls. One of them, for some reason, the guy doesn't like. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up giving birth, and he's like, "Ain't you done yet?" And you ugly, you this, you that.
And at this point, is she already praying to God?
I think
like
so.
To her,
yeah,
like in herself, own monologue. Yeah.
So he takes the baby away. We don't really know what happened. We don't know if he killed the baby, sold the baby away. Who knows? It's not slavery. This is like 1909, so it's not a slavery situation. But we don't know what happened to this baby, right?
Right.
All right. So now the sister's getting older, right? Now he's changing his attention to the sister.
Yeah,
right?
so now I guess she identifies as, the younger sister.
The younger sister, right? So now we're in that phase. Okay, you're good and all that stuff. You ugly, though. Your sister's far better. I want those, right?
Yeah, we start getting some hints that people think she's attractive. I think at this point, the other man in the church is smiling at her.
So now we meet, which eventually will be named Mr. Right? So Mr's at the church. He's staring at the sister. And he's like, prepubescent. Let's get it, right? So then he goes over to the house, and he asks the father, hey, I want to marry your daughter. And he's just like, well, you can't have the sister because I want her. Or
Pretty
whatever,
much.
right? He didn't say that, but that's essentially what was, the business.
Yeah.
But you can have the older one because I'm done with her. And he's like, she's already been. What do you?
It's something about being spoiled twice.
Yeah, she's already been spoiled twice. She's whatever, right? She's not. She's bearing fruit basically, as a 14-year-old.
Yeah. From her narration, we know she has 2 children.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, both by him.
And so he's like, okay, so he marries Sissy off to Mr.
Yeah, because he accepts, yeah.
Right, because he's like, all right, well, I need a chick at the house because these kids are ruly, and his previous wife just died, and he's trying to find a stepmom. Right, so she's trying to adjust to this new life of being the mother of these kids, cooking, cleaning. You're being subjected to some slavery type situation because that's what a marriage is. A marriage is slavery.
It's like we know who continually pushes this narrative.
Your life is ruined when you get married.
And you have all these kids around. No, but I thought you were going to go on the best part. When she almost said plantation. She walks onto the compound and gets a brick thrown at her head.
Oh, yes.
By one of the boy child.
The welcoming wagon was her getting a brick thrown at her head. Now she's bleeding off the side of her face. And then here's the crazy part. So
sorry guys, I'm not laughing at abuse. I'm laughing at
it's ridiculous. It's nuts.
Yes.
How much stuff happens to this chick in like the first 15 minutes of the film? So then, not only does she get hit in the head, right, and she's bleeding out the side of her head. She puts a bandage on, or they put a bandage on her. Maybe she does it herself.
Oh yeah, they didn't even show that. Yeah.
Doesn't wait for her to heal, right? Immediately we go from her putting a bandage on her head to now she's out here getting her back blown out.
Yeah, we just
by
see
the
the bed
dude
shaking.
and then she's just out here,
and all these belts on the top of the bed.
Probably still has a concussion, right? And she's out here just okay. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, because they said when she got up, then she has the blood stain on her head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't.
And then she's looking at the picture of some chick at the nightstand, and she's like, oh, I wonder if this was his ex-wife, and I wonder if he's doing the same thing to me that he did to her.
Yeah.
And that's just a part of married life, because married life is abuse and trauma and slavery.
Only in certain communities that they try to push this message. Just like, you guys really don't know what a marriage is, do you?
It's crazy. So and then
the house wasn't just regular cooking cleaning. It was disastrous. Like,
he didn't do anything.
Worse than an abandoned orphanage. No one's eating, but there's like trash and food. There's rats. There's rats and then
There's
cobwebs
yep.
and like
spiders and all that. Yeah, it's just nuts. So
but they were supposedly living there.
So after you thought that, okay, that's probably the end of that, and we're gonna eventually, she's gonna, maybe something else is happening, and maybe someone else is getting the attention. The next day, right? Her first couple of days are just horrendous. The next day, she's over here trying to comb the little girl's hair, and it looks like the hair hasn't received attention in who knows how long. And so she's screaming and hollering, and most of you guys, if you ever had long hair, it's more of women, but guys too. I grew my hair out, and sitting in between somebody's legs, and yeah, if you haven't paid attention to your hair, and if your hair is dry, that stuff is murderous, right? So yeah, it hurts.
She's like,
and so she's trying to comb through that stuff with dry. I don't know why she didn't put some oil or something on the hair. Why are you trying to comb dry hair? That makes no sense. But whatever. We have to remember that Steven Spielberg is the one that directed this film, so I wouldn't expect him to know those types of intricacies.
Biggest disappointments. When I saw the opening, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh man.
Sorry, go ahead.
So she's trying to comb this girl's hair, and he's tired of her screaming and hollering, and Sissy was just like, she's doing that because it hurts, right? And then he hits this whole facial expression, like, "What did you just talk back to me?"
What?
Pow! Right? And it's like, just smacks her across the face. And that wasn't even really a talkback. That was like a response
No.
to something that you said.
He was like, well, it hurts her, so I don't know how I'm going to make her shut. Because he was telling her to make the child shut up.
Yes.
He was like, her head's hurting.
Yeah. So, you know, we're in this film for like 20 minutes, and immediately I'm like, all right, I'm kind of done now. Like, I don't really want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this.
And yeah. I think I remember you saying that, and I was like, we still have a long way to go. This is a long ass movie.
The first 15, you said 15, 20
The
minutes.
first 15,
it felt like 2 hours had gone by.
That 20 minutes felt like, yes.
On.
And so then she goes to the store, right? And she meets a lady that has a baby.
Oh, God.
And she's like, you know what? I think that baby is my baby. Mm-hmm. And she asks to hold the baby, right? So she's holding him or holding her, asking some questions, being a real weirdo because, you know, I'm thinking, you know, if somebody is holding my kid, first of all, I wouldn't have given you my child.
You're not holding my child.
That'd be the first thing, right? I'd be like,
absolutely not.
I don't know if you're some type of like kidnapper type person. You're looking a little too interested.
Oh yeah, and the girl turned her back and back to the counter.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know about that one, right? And so she's like clutching on the baby and sniffing the baby and all this other weird stuff that if strangers doing this stuff with your child, you're like, okay, all right, lady, I need my kid back. You're acting weird. And so then she has this little weird moment, and then the white guy's like, you buying something? And then she's like, and then she runs out of the store. Because everywhere she goes, she gets, you know, abused.
Yeah, because nobody talks to her right.
No. And then she gets happy again because her sister comes by.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Right? So she's like, oh, sweet. We get to fuck around in the field again like old days. This is tremendous. And play patty cake and do all these different things.
Thing in there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's a significant portion in there when they...
Oh, yes. They did a lot of patty caking. And so she's happy. Her sister's around. Right? Everything's fine and dandy. And then this guy, Mister, is out here looking from the side, just looking hella creepy. Like, ooh, some fine piece of butt right there. Is that your sister? Let's go. Yeah, she can stay here. And so he starts trying to like advance on her. Eventually, it gets to the point where the sister was going to school. Well, actually,
walking by herself. Oh wait, go ahead.
Before I go to that point, the sister was teaching her how to read. Right.
Tisk.
Right. And so, you know what this reminded me of?
Tisk.
And I think this is on purpose. This reminded me. I don't know if you guys watched Boondocks, but you remember when Uncle Ruckus was talking about his family, and he called his dad Mister. And like that whole dynamic between him, his dad, and his mom, and like it looked.
I'm gonna have to go back and find that episode.
This was like I wonder if MacGyver had some Color Purple references in there because it was far too similar. It's like, you trying to read? You having fun?
Oh my gosh!
Slap,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So he didn't like the fact that she was getting taught how to read. Eventually, we find
not in this house.
Yeah, not in this house. You ain't reading. What you reading? Right. So the sister goes off to school, right? And Mister's on a horse, and he's over here pursuing her like a crazy mad person. And, you know, he tries to do the whole rape scene in the bush type situation. She was actually had some smarts and some streets toughness in her. Hit him in the privates with her books, ran away. And because he felt defeated, naturally, after something like that happens, you got to kick the person out of the house. Right, so he's like, "Get the hell out of my house! You need to get off my property!" Right, this was the most dramatic thing I've ever seen.
The children are traumatized, standing there watching.
And I don't mean to laugh.
Dragging her.
It was ridiculous. It was the weirdest scene I've ever seen. How would you describe that?
What you said in the beginning, trauma porn.
Okay, because it was like
corn.
It doesn't take all this. Like it really doesn't. And
no, it does. He needed to go in and drag her.
And they're trying to hold on to each other as he's pulling her away.
Oh yes, the sisters are gripping onto each other, pulling apart. And then he's pulling on, and then at one point she grips onto the wood, and
he's swiping her hands off, and he's like, no. It was yeah.
So like, the girl he had all this affection for, he just starts beating to get out of the house because he couldn't get it.
Yes.
Even though he just said, "Oh, you're gonna be mine," and all this stuff. I'm like, How?
I don't know. And then she said, death's not gonna keep me away from you.
Yeah, because they were her and her sister.
Yeah, they're saying that to the sister, and so.
And he's like, "You'll never see her.
You'll
never talk to her again." Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so after that,
so dramatic, all in the dust and the dirt, and everybody just rolling around in there, and
yes. So then we have this weird scene where she has an opportunity to slit his throat, and
oh yeah,
and she's shaky, and he's like, "If you cut me, I'm gonna kill you," and she started freaking out and all that stuff. The abuse is just over the top. I don't know.
So I can't even take it seriously in the beginning.
It's too much.
Like, I can watch something with abuse, but they just took it is it too liberally? They just put it way too much, and it wasn't. They didn't even put his. I don't know if you need his full backstory, but they didn't put where all this animosity is coming from, except for the fact that Cicely, the character, they say it later, that she's black, and she's ugly, and she's, according to their the way they painted her picture, and so that's why she's getting these beatings.
Right, it's kind of like a Precious type situation, but before Precious, because Color Purple is older. So
yeah.
This whole thing about you being just dark and you ugly.
And then they made her hair like in the beginning. I mean, later on they had Whoopi actually playing her. I mean, it was Whoopi's character throughout, but they had a younger
version,
playing her.
Yeah. And her hair was all messed up. Like
it's just like little choppy pieces of like. It's like you can do nice natural hairstyles, even shorter natural hairstyles.
Which they ended up doing when going way at the end of the film, or when their kids come back from Africa, right? So it's possible, but we have to paint this narrative. So, and I guess they're trying to say that these people aren't that removed from slavery, and so it's like they're looking really dusty because of not knowing how to do their hair or something. I don't know. So she gets older. We finally see Whoopi, and Mr. is getting ready to go on a date. And it's weird because Whoopi's supposed to be the wife here, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's over here like, "Oh, where's my shoes? Where's my vest? Which suit should I wear? Where's my cufflink?" And she happens to just know all the items that he needs before he even realizes that he's missing it, which means to the audience, oh, she's done this before. She's in a habit of preparing him to go on this date. He rides off in the sunset with some flowers, and it's like, that was really weird. Whose wife is helping them go on a date with another woman? But we have to remember, Whoopi is this traumatized, slave girl. So this is, a thing.
And this is marriage.
And then we find out
about
a
black man, right?
Huh?
If you marry the black man, this is marriage.
And then we find out, then we get more involved with his son. Now, his son, he doesn't get many scenes in the beginning of the film because he's mainly just the guy who prepares the horse. Mm-hmm. But now he's older, and so he brings home a woman that he's interested in marrying. And he's like, "Hey, Dad, I would like to marry Sophia, the lady who's played by Oprah." And so Oprah is this high-strung, I'm a bigger black woman, so I have attitude. Because every big black woman has attitude.
Another stereotype perpetuated. Yep.
And so, she's domineering, and she's like, "Yeah, we're going to do this. And I can take care of this baby all by myself if he's not going to come because I'm a strong, independent, tantalizing, big, dark-skinned black woman. And I'm Oprah in real life. So, yeah, get it." And so she's doing all that and neck rolling and all that other stuff. We could probably skip through that part because his character is also just embarrassing. He went from one abuser to the next. He's just
Harpo, which also happens to be
that's his name.
Oprah backwards.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have remembered because of his weakling character, but since it's Oprah backwards, I was like, oh yeah. But yeah, the father's telling him come here. His new
Sophia
bride Sophia is telling him come here.
And, he's just getting pushed around. Mm-hmm. They have a really awkward moment at the wedding where Mister's doing a weird hug with him. Like he doesn't understand how to show any level of affection at all. And then, he's over here trying to fix the house. She's over here telling him to watch the baby. Here's a bottle. Go feed your kid. And then he's like, man, I feel like I'm being disrespected, which you are. Mm-hmm. And so he's asking his dad, which I wouldn't ask your dad for advice on anything. But, he's asking his dad, hey, how do I get respected in my house? He's like, well, do what I did. I just beat people. That's. And then he asked Whoopi, or not Whoopi, but
Whoopi's
Sissy.
character, yeah.
And Sissy's like, yeah, beat her, because that's all I know, too, because I'm just an abused person. Just beat people. Anytime that you want to get respect around as a black man, you just need to beat folks. So he goes and tries to beat her up, and he gets his butt kicked. He's over here telling people that his black eye came from a horse, and he's like, nah, that's not a horse. That looks like somebody's fist. You got beat up by? Did you get beat up by your wife? So yeah, it was
exactly what happened.
So
he
then,
said, no, this is
right.
not how this is going down.
No,
he looked horrible.
He did. Sophia then runs through the cornfields to get to Whoopi's character, and she's like, I've been fighting my whole life. I've been fighting my daddy. I had to fight my brothers. I had to fight my husband. The next time you want to advise somebody, yada, yada, you gotta, yada. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this whole, black woman triumph monologue.
And I've heard that phrase repeated throughout different, I don't know if it's Hollywood movies or different things with black women. I've been fighting all my whole life, and I just didn't know that was where it came from.
Right. So it was really good to see that reference. Oh, this is the origin of this. Nice. Yeah. So, that happens. Eventually they break up because they just been fighting their whole lives. Right. And eventually she's like, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't want to fight anymore.
Mm-hmm. And does what she said she could do from the beginning. I'm going to watch these kids by myself.
I'm going to do these kids all by myself. No help at all.
I don't need you.
I don't need you for nothing.
Which wasn't surprising because we didn't get the sense from the entirety of the movie so far that any black man was going to be of character. We haven't seen anybody.
There's no redeeming.
Yeah.
Maybe Whoopi's son.
Yes, which they gave him very little screen time.
Yes. So he had virtually no screen time, and he was mainly in Africa the whole time. So, and he doesn't speak English.
And I was saying we didn't even hear what he said, but I didn't even realize that. Okay, we'll talk
and it was
about
weird
later.
because if your nanny is her sister and she speaks English and she's an English teacher, then how the hell do you not know how to speak English? That makes no sense at all.
They were in Africa. Yeah, I'd been like, oh, you picked up the language, not you don't know how to speak English at all.
That was weird, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay, so a weird moment happens in the film, right? A storm comes, and Whoopi's like, I keep calling her Whoopi. Sissy's like, there's something coming, there's something in the air, and whatever, yada. She has this type of sixth sense that something bad is happening, and then all of a sudden, this random chick, who we find out was the girl who was on the picture, she shows up to the house, and the very first thing that she hears is, "You's ugly," right? And that just reinforces the message she's been receiving her whole life. She's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm an ugly chick," yada yada. But then what happens is weird because then they start building this friendship. After she kind of bosses Mister around, and she's forcing everybody to cook for her and take care of her and all this stuff.
And being unruly and throwing shit around.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird friendship. And then I guess they bonded because they both have trauma. Although, this is what I don't like about this film is she gave the impression that she was getting abused by her dad the same way that Whoopi was getting abused by her dad. We find out later on that her dad just didn't like the fact that she was a hoe. And he was just like, yeah, I'm just not going to engage with you anymore. He didn't touch her.
He recognized the 304. He was just like, no.
No.
And he's a pastor.
So he's like, I just can't be associated.
Yeah.
All right. That's a whole different thing, right?
And she's getting all this attention, of course, following stereotypes. She's a little lighter skin.
Of course, light skin. Her hair is a little straighter, so she has to be prettier because she's not as dark.
All these guys like her.
The darkies are,
And she has all the talent. She gets to do what she wants. Like you said, she was acting a mess at the house, and Mister didn't do anything, even though he's this strong abuser guy.
Yep.
He's running around, twiddling his thumbs. I forgot you tried to make her breakfast,
and like, epically failed at that.
He didn't even know how to make biscuits and all this stuff. It's just very interesting. Or put butter on biscuits. And I was like, why are they making him? I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to aim with that character.
The one thing I did miss is she did say children need their pa. And
that was weird
I
for
remember
them to put in there.
it was weird, but it should have told me that maybe there's something else there. Whoopi obviously didn't understand this concept because she's like, every guy that I've ever met has been horrendous. So what are you talking about? Children need their pa. But it seems like her dad, the light-skinned chick, her dad, the pastor, is a decent dude who just didn't condone her actions, and she's been yearning for his approval for like years. And I didn't really put that piece together until later on in the movie, where she brings her husband over to the house, and the pastor is, is driving by, and she's like, "I was married," right? She's over here trying to show off the ring and all these things, and he's just like, "Fast, go, run!" Like, I don't want to see you at all.
Like, why did she care about his approval at that point? But they still, I think they wanted it that way, where you wouldn't really know that was the actual issue, because they kept putting like abuser vibes around him.
They did.
Like something's wrong with him, and even in the well, we're not talking about the end yet, but even in the end, even though it's just because of her behavior, they still made him look like he was. The
message of the song was God's trying to tell you something. Like it seemed like. Actually, we should wait until later on in the film. Okay, let's keep going. So the town Harpo has a buddy, and they're going down the river, and they have like this piano, and they're trying to basically build this nightclub. Right? They build the nightclub. All the dudes go crazy over here. You got loose women over the place. We got alcohol, and it's this whole scene. Mister is all in on this. He's mesmerized by the light skinned chick because she sings, and all that other stuff. And so she sings a song. I don't know if this is the point where she sings a song about Whoopi. They're friends at this point now. And then she said they have this little candid thing at the house because she's about to leave for Memphis. And she's like, you can't leave because he beats me when you're not around. Right? And then they have this really weird moment where she's like, I like having relations with Mister. And Whoopi's like, I don't. And she's like, what do you mean? And it's like, the wife's having this weird exchange with the mistress, and the mistress is over telling how good relations is with the husband, and this is like, who has this exchange in real life? But let's keep going. So they're having this thing, and then Whoopi's talking about how she's never felt love before, and nobody loves her, and so then they have this weird moment where they're being gay and they're like kissing each other and stuff. And I'm like, all right, I guess, if when all else fails and every single guy that's in your life is an abuser, you need to turn into a lesbian, because that's the solution that we have for our society is all guys are bad, turn to women. So after that, Whoopi's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave with her to go to Memphis. And then Mister turns on his I'm an abuser hat on and is like, you better not. You ain't going nowhere. And he gives her this, death stare. And then we go to the town. And this is where Sophia's character changes dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do that in this new musical, because it looks like from the musical, Sophia's character is very prominent and she's very outspoken in all the scenes that they highlighted. That's not the case in the film. She's very outspoken and really boss chicky in the very beginning, and then she has this exchange with this white woman. She's with her kids, right? They're just hanging out, I guess. Maybe she's waiting on somebody, and the white woman's over here trying to touch all over her kids and like pinch her cheeks and stuff. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Why are you letting this random lady touch your kids like that? I have to remind myself that this is 1940 or 30. So it's like, the situation's a little different when it comes to white folks. So I guess, whatever. So then the white lady was like, you should be my maid. And then she was like, hell no. Right. And kind of like I was referencing earlier with the trailer of this new one. Right. They used that as a main song and, this whole triumphant song. And it was weird because this is the moment where those words were quoted. And then, all the white people were just like, what did she say? What did she say? What did she say? And then the husband comes, the white lady's husband comes by. It's like, what did you say to my wife? And she says it again, and then he slaps her because, you know, I'm a white man, and you can't talk to white people like that. Mm-hmm. And so Lawrence Fishburne's character was like, don't do it, Sophia, don't do it. And she balls her fist and knocks him a good one, right? Because she's been beating people, right? That's what she's been fighting her whole life. And so she fought the wrong one. So now all these white people come out the woodwork and they start getting in their grill, yelling in their face. And she's like telling them, leave me alone and all that stuff. It's like, no, you started this. You know what time it is. It is 1920. And you just punched a white man in the face.
Yeah. And I think with a little sand or something too in his
That's
eyes.
what I'm saying. Yeah. So, I mean, you knew this was about to, you about to die. Like, that's what it is. Fortunately, she did not. She did get cold cocked, a pistol whipped by the police officer. So.
Ruined her eye. She's now on the ground, sprawled out. Time fast forwards, and she's an old lady coming out of the prison or jail or wherever she was. Mm-hmm. And not only has she been gone for so long, but she's now the nanny of the white lady. And so that is probably worse than the jail experience that she had. The writers were sick for that. But that's where I will give them a little credit when we're discussing that.
Oh man, that was rad. I was like, so she's now just a mute at this point. She's looking a lot like Whoopi's character, because Whoopi's character looks really pathetic for the whole film.
From the whole.
It's kind of just sick to watch. It's like, I hate looking at a character this bad. So
I kept waiting for her liberation moment. Like,
right.
Ugh.
It dragged. So Sophia is now in the same boat, right? She's now traumatized, and she hasn't seen her kids in 8 years. And she's now stuck with this white lady.
And is she the white lady of white ladies?
Yes, she is. You know, she talked about how she, you know, I do all these things for you colored people. She's learning how to drive, and she's feeling like a liberated woman because now she's driving herself.
She got a new car.
You know.
Even though everyone around looks like they're not doing too well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 1930 now. She's like, you know what I want to do for you, Sophia? I'm going to let you see your kids for a couple hours. And so she wants to drive her over to the house. Sophia goes to the house. It's a whole emotional moment in the film because she hasn't seen her kids. Her kids are grown up. The baby puts her hand out and says, nice to meet you, ma'am. And I know that probably was a dagger in her heart because like, treating me like a stranger. I'm your mom. She goes into the house, and then she starts breaking down. It's like, what's wrong? It's like, I don't know any of you people, right? And then the white lady the whole plan was to drop her off and to come back. The white lady is now all of a sudden has a hard time driving. She can't figure out how to put the car in reverse, which is weird because you drove here. You've been driving all day.
But with, not Celia, with Sophia's help. But you're right. She did make it all the way there.
Yeah, so now all of a sudden you forgot how to use the car, and so the dudes were just like, hey, chick, you need to figure out how to get control of the thing. You're going to destroy our house because you're about to run right through everything.
She was backing into their little shed and their other stuff outside in the front. Mm-hmm.
And now she's thinking that these guys are trying to attack her because everybody wants the white woman. So, you know, that's... So she's...
Plus, you have to stay consistent with the film. You know, and there's no good black men in here. So
that is true.
Of course, these guys are predators. They're trying to attack her in the car.
Absolutely. So she's over here screaming and hollering and freaking out.
And they're literally saying, hey, ma'am, stop the car. They're coming closer.
Yeah. And Sophia hasn't even taken her jacket off yet. And so she has this realization in her face like, I'm not going to be able to stay here.
Let's go ahead and put that jacket back.
Let's go ahead and put that jacket back on. I'm going to have to go back to this white woman's house because she's not going to let me stay. So they have this moment.
Which is probably her whole plan. She just wanted to seem yes. Yeah, now that you say that, how does she drive all the way there?
So then Sophia was just like, hey, you know, one of my aunts can take you. And she's like, I can't be with some random colored person, right? And then she's like, well, maybe we can call your husband. And he can say, no, because he's out of town. I can't be with some random person. And so basically, Sophia, you need to get in this car.
Yeah.
This was a fun experiment. I'm now done having fun now. So
she like cried and then like put her fat face on and basically turned into a child and like, how am I going to do it without you?
Absolutely.
And she was like holding her, I need to go home. I need to go home.
So that was annoying to watch. What else was there? So then we have a scene where the light-skinned chick, singer lady, comes back from Memphis with her new husband. right? I already kind of mentioned the scene with the pastor driving through, and she's like, "I was married," and he's like, "I don't care at all about you or your husband or anything. Please don't talk to me." He had that whole scene.
Yeah.
And when they hear the honk of the car coming through, Mister is excited. Whoopi's excited because remember Whoopi was getting her back blown out, so she's like, "Ooh, I'm about to get my back blown out again."
Yeah.
And Mister was trying to always get his back blown out. And Mel Melissa says the funniest thing.
Oh gosh.
At the scene, she's like, when they both show up at the porch, and her husband comes out of the car, immediately both their faces drop. And then Mel Melissa was like, "Oh, what? You're not here to sleep with us?"
Is that not what they were thinking?
That's probably what they were thinking. Fast forwarding again some more. This was a long ass movie, so continually fasting forwarding through.
Hang in there, guys.
Yeah, I know. Eventually, light skinned chick gets with Whoopi and was like, "Hey, she wants to go get the mail." Right? She sees a letter from the sister. She's like, "Ooh, you need to come with me upstairs." Right?
Ooh, which backstory? I don't know if we ever said that the male Mister. That's another one of his catalysts to beating Cicely is if she ever touched the mail. So she hasn't been touching the mail. She's been asking if she can have mail.
Right.
And he's like, "No, you can't ever. You don't ever get mail. You don't. There's nothing for you."
Absolutely, because the sister's been sending mail for years. So she finally reads one of the letters from the sister, and she finds out her sister's in Africa. And she had this whole adventure in Africa, and then
and she's with her children.
And she's with her children. So she did, her suspicion about that baby was actually her baby, and her sister's actually helping taking care of her kids. And so she's feeling this warm, fuzzy, but also sad moment about, everybody's kind of living this high life, and I wanted to be with my kids and I can't.
Yeah.
So then the husband is distracting Mister, right? They're drinking and having a great time, and then I think they're going off to Harpo's club. So then they start digging through. They meaning Whoopi and light skin chick starts digging through the house trying to find the other letters. They eventually find them, and then we have a montage of Whoopi going and reading through all the different letters and hearing all the different things that her sister was experiencing while she was in Africa. So then,
and on top of that, he had pictures of naked white women.
Yes, because
of course,
naturally,
that's what they really want.
Yes, at the end of the day, black men just want a white woman. That's how that works. I forgot that part. Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot that.
Sorry.
So of course, she's having this daydreamy thing, and each time she is reading a piece of the letter, she's daydreaming about what Africa could be like, and seeing giraffes and seeing these elephants and all these different adventures and whatnot, and then some of the trauma that the sister's going through with the white man building roads and running through, whole villages and stuff because, we got to build this road here. And so, screw whoever was living here. Anyway, as she's going through all this daydreaming stuff, she gets too far into the cosmos. And then Mister was like, "Hey, don't forget about me." So slap in the face, right? "I've been calling your name, yada, yada, yada.
And I think that time we saw blood. I was like, okay.
Yeah, because she can't not be bleeding for too long.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then he has to continually remind her that she is black, poor, and ugly, and a woman.
Which is why I'm like, why do they want to bring this back?
Yeah. So eventually, light skinned chick was like, "I'm taking Sissy with me." They have this whole triumphant moment. Finally, Whoopi speaks up for herself. Because Whoopi was speaking up for herself, Sophia gains her brain back. In the trailer, you guys saw some old man saying the women at this table were acting crazy. I imagine that is the guy who is Mister's dad, who is not a very good character either. And he's basically the reason why everybody's in this mess, because you made your son feel inadequate, so he has to feel like he's tough in order to prove to himself that he's a man to you.
Which is the same thing that got your grandson in trouble because he was trying to prove to his dad, I can control Sophia.
Correct. So this is a downward spiral of this man just not setting up his son or grandson in the best situation.
Yeah.
Fast forward. Eventually, we find out that Whoopi's or Sissy's dad dies, right? So she goes to the funeral. She finally finds out that that guy is not actually her father, which, hello, what I said earlier today in this episode. I can't unless you're talking about some incest situation, which black people don't really do incest like that. That's more of a white person issue. Black people don't do incest. So this whole idea of her dad, messing around with her, getting her pregnant twice, didn't make any sense at all. So now the film rectifies that. It's like, well, it wasn't actually her dad. It was some rando dude.
Towards the very end. And they kind of just graze over it.
They do. They breeze through that.
Or breeze through it, yes.
Just to kind of, all right, let's kind of clean that up real quick, and then we're going to keep going back to the trauma stuff. And so basically she finds out that her real dad had a bunch of land and a store that he left down to them, and that he left down to actually her mom. But after her mom died, it was supposed to be going to her. So now she's setting up this new life. She has her store. She's helping people wear pants because women's empowerment. And then, oh, I forgot. Just to make sure that you guys didn't think that this old man had any redeeming quality. The old man dies being on top of a new chick.
Oh, yes. Yes. It doesn't matter if we just
How did he
corrected
die
that he's not the dad.
on top of me?
I saw that coming from a mile away.
You called it.
I didn't. How else was he going to die? There's not a million other ways to write that. But, we want to reemphasize his sexual sickness.
Yes. So, I'm waiting for this movie to end. I'm like, all right, are we done here? At this point, we finally make it to why this movie is called The Color Purple, because he's talking about how God wants praise and love and stuff, and it's like he does all these things, and it's like the trees are shaking and stuff, and he's like, oh, it's and I forgot exactly what the line was, but it was something to do with, oh, the flowers just want to be loved, and Whoopi's character, that's all she wanted her whole life was just to be loved, and she just was around all these abusive men, and the only people who really loved her in her life were the women in her life, like her sister and the light-skinned chick.
Yep.
And that's the moral of the story here, is that, black men are bad and black men abuse people.
That's what I got out of it.
And if you want to be free, if you want to be liberated, if you want to experience any kind of joy or happiness in your life, you must get rid of every black man who's in your life. And that way, that opens you up to be like the color purple flower. And the flower can now be, have the space to be loved and to be appreciated, because black men don't have the capability of doing so. That's what I learned from this film. The pastor has a moment, kind of referring back to the moment that we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. They're at church, they're singing, the other people are at the nightclub. Light-skinned chick hears the song that was a traumatizing song for her, and so she starts walking down the road singing the song, and the church people are just like, who's singing outside? They come barging in. I'm thinking, is this going to be the moment where she tells the whole church that her dad touched her? And in actuality, but nope, that didn't happen. She was just hurt, or he was just upset that she was a hoe, and he wanted her to stop doing hoe things, and she was like, I just wanted, what did you say? Even sinners have souls too, Daddy, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Something along those lines. Anyway, they have this moment where he starts tearing up. He doesn't speak at all in this film, besides when he's in a sermon.
We're not going to give you lines.
He doesn't say anything to her. He's just sitting there, stone-faced, and then eventually a tear comes down his face. And then she gives him a hug, and then she starts crying, and everybody's all happy. And eventually we get to the point where, like, all right, this movie has to be ending at some point.
Yes.
The sister... Oh, Mister does one good thing. In this whole film, he's been an absolute monster. He gets a letter from immigration, because in the last letter that was sent to Whoopi, the sister was saying that they had a hard time getting back to the U.S. because of immigration. Mister receives this letter and uses some of his reserve cash to go to wherever office or building that he went to try to clear up some of that stuff. Their stuff gets cleared up. The sister now is able to get back to the U.S. And so we have this reuniting moment where the sister brings the two kids. They're all adults now. And they have this whole patty cake situation, and everybody's kissing each other, and the kids start saying, hey, Mom, but they're speaking a foreign language. And I'm just like, you guys should be able to speak English. The sister can speak English. right? Like the sister didn't teach y'all English at all. We never hear the sister speak a foreign language.
No. No, we
So that's kind of weird. So, but whatever, right? So you have these African kids who don't speak English for some reason, even though their aunt is an English teacher. It makes no sense. And that is the end of the film, y'all. And at that point, I looked at Mel Melissa, I gave her a high five, and I said, we finally did it. We made it through. And I thought that I was Whoopi being abused for 3 hours. Like, man, when am I going to have my comeuppance moment where I'm going to be free, right? I'm going to be liberated because this movie is killing me.
See what we do for you guys.
Absolutely. This was not, all right. Review time, this was not a good movie. I'm going to say that flat out. I am not looking forward to this musical. I can't imagine this movie being a musical. This was a bad movie, and you're going to add music and dancing to it.
No, but you said something good about it.
Oh, I did. Sorry. The movie was shot very well. Steven Spielberg can shoot. We all know this. The transitions that you would see between different scenes was nice, like the tire tracks or the train track turning into the tire, the zooming in into the mailbox. You know, he did some cinematography moves, right? Good stuff, right? Some of the scenes were good. Right. Shot very well. The music score was fine. Quincy Jones did it. It felt like a Steven Spielberg's film. Cinematography wise, it's not a bad film. The writing part of it, I did not like the stereotypes. I did not like the depiction of every single black man in this film. Every black man in this film was horrendous. Mm-hmm. The pastor needed to be fleshed out a little bit. You know, we needed to know why he went into mute mode. Right? Because he just didn't say anything. He didn't say or acknowledge. He didn't do anything.
How was them giving him a good character? Like, you can be a good black man, but then you're not going to get any lines.
But even though he's technically a good character, he was still an abuser. Because she blamed him for the trauma that she was experiencing.
Yes. And we give you the model black man at the end with the son.
Who doesn't speak English.
Who doesn't speak English, but all you do is adore your mom. Oh, and he said he had waited his whole life for this, and he's hugging her and holding her. Yeah, and this is what he dreamt about. So that is what they want. The adoration. And when I say they, you know who we're talking about. The same people who say, oh, these stereotypes and the standards of beauty are perpetuated by white people. And then it's y'all who make a film like this.
Yeah.
With the stereotypes perpetuated with the light-skinned chick is the hot girl, and then the dark girl with African features is not pretty. And her natural hair. And I'm just like, try something else. Maybe try fleshing out the characters a little bit better. I don't know. I kind of interrupted your review. So
yeah, no, you're good. You had some good points. I'm trying to figure out how this musical is going to plan out, because it seems like the sister has a more prominent role in the musical than she actually does in the movie. Because for the most part, the sister is non-existent because she's in Africa, right? So she's there in the beginning of the film, and then that's it, right? So that weird scene where Halle Berry is talking to Fantasia, talking about, you need to have confidence. You need to blah, 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 blah. She's the younger sister. And all she was concerned about was having fun and playing. Yeah. So this whole pep talk thing is weird, because it's like, that
wasn't her character in the
That wasn't her character in the movie.
I think they were dissatisfied with her character. One, if you notice, they replaced her with a lighter skinned actress.
Yes.
Because the sister was also noted as beautiful.
Right.
So we got to change that. We can't be having anyone kind of dark, even though in that one they had her hair longer. So she's going to have the smooth, longer hair, light skin.
Yes.
And then we also need to give her more airtime because of that.
Yes, that is true. So we're going to have to change and doctor up the story a little bit to make sure that we give all the light-skinned chicks some more time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's for black women.
Taraji P. Henson's in this film, and that makes sense because, Taraji's not going to miss an opportunity to have a empowering black woman film. So there's that. I don't know, guys.
I just don't see how this is empowering black women, though.
Actually, yes. As a black woman, do you feel empowered?
No.
Why not?
One, I'm from the region that they're talking, the Africans that they're, so all the, what do they say? Yo, you have African features and everything. And it's like
Dark.
you're so dark and black, and the reason he was beating her, and I'm just like, they're so obsessed with abuse and telling abuse stories supposedly and displaying it and trauma, just the trauma corn you said. But I don't think they really understand it, because you can have a well-written film and have it depict abuse, an abusive situation, and it still be well done. This was not well done. This is just your bias towards black men and what you want to showcase to everyone and what your idea is of black men, which I find is so interesting that every time that they have an opportunity to showcase even a family, because every family, they had drama and abuse, even though the son was more of a weakling, he now starts also trying to abuse his wife, and then they end up having continuous physical altercations throughout with Oprah's character, Sophia. And so it's just like everyone has to have an element of abuse, in addition to being a drunkard, in addition to being jobless, in addition to being an idiot because he kept falling through the roof. Like, there's just so many other things, and it's I say it's interesting because I contrast that with every movie that they want to be paired up with a white man. It's like the cream of the crop, top high earning, prince. Even like you're with a prince with a white man, and it's just like, I wouldn't focus so much on the race part, but it's just that they don't even have, like, you don't have a character. You just have this mold of like, oh, this is a black man. This is the only thing that he played as a black man, and then the things you say you have are traumatized by being a dark black woman and all that. You continue to put it into movies.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel as a black woman. Like, you can have better stuff. I will say, so aside from those horrible stereotypes, the themes of having family estrangement, the mother and the kids with both Sophia and Sissy's character and her children, and then the reunification later on, I did kind of like that when they got to see each other in the end. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's realistic with real life of how things go after so much time has passed, but I thought it was a nice way to wrap it back in a bow where they did have some kind of peace in their life at some point, finally. Yeah. But it was just after so much abuse that I was just done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not too particular on that point because she was sending letters for years.
Oh, yes.
So and she was trying, but she also understood that Mr. was going to be hiding these letters. Mm-hmm. So, I do think that today, 2023, I don't even know what year it is. I think we need to go back to creating films that depict healthy relationships, because at this point we're way on the other end of it. Like, all we see is essentially the message that you get from this film that's about to come out, I guess. It's a rehash of what already happened. A film like Frozen, the only love that is attainable for you is a sisterhood love, either with your actual biological sister or with some other chick who is basically being a proxy sister.
Yeah, and this chick could have been sleeping with your husband or your, whoever you were.
And she was.
In this case, she was.
In this particular case, she was. And sleeping with you.
So and sleeping with you,
It's I don't know.
So basically, and to me, that screams the black women can do anything they want. They're untouchable, and then, anything that the black man does is bad, right? Because before, Sophia started getting hit by the husband, she was already like verbally abusing and accosting and embarrassing the husband. I'm not going to condone either way of them hitting, but it's just like she was abusive. So I was like, you guys, they really don't. You're right. They need to depict a healthy relationship, because, and I wasn't even thinking he was actually going to hit her. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, okay, so you all can only see a relationship where the father is beating the Whoopi's character,
Yep.
or the son is getting beat on by a stronger black woman character. So this is what we promote. We're fine with this one because they're together. But no, they separated too. So it's just like...
Right. And I think
it's one thing if you don't know and you imagine, right? But it's like you imagine this princess life with a white man and this, dark slavery life with a black man.
And now this is going to come back, and all this is going to do is reinforce bad ideas that people have. I would love to see a film where a man and woman have a situation happen, and they work together to get through the situation. So it could be anything. It could be a natural disaster. It could be, a supernatural thing. It could be, outer space. Anything, really.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
But just have them actually... We need to see more of us working together to resolve issues, because right now it's an overabundance of us not working together, and us basically... The idea of us being together is toxic.
Yes.
Like the very idea of a man and woman in the same space is toxic now. And so, yeah, that's going to reinforce bad ideas. And then, of course, when people are going to walk out into the world thinking that these things are real. And
that's what they are walking around like it's real. Because I think I wouldn't be so irritated if it wasn't depicted in real life. And then people go onto podcasts and go onto different arenas and just speak as if this is a real man that you've met. And I want to ask them every time. I mean, the next time someone does do that, which they typically don't, we don't interact. If they do say something like that, I'm going to be like, oh, were you abused?
Were you yourself abused? No, but I've seen it. Where? In a movie?
Yes, because they always have this person that, well, what if she's abused? Or what if... And I'm like, who? Who was abused?
Well, he's down low. How did you get that idea? Oh, was it a Tyler Perry film where every dude was basically gay?
He's broke. Like, okay.
I mean, that's...
And I think your idea of the film, a new film with a healthy relationship, going through a difficult time in any of those topics you mentioned, but also have a financial element where she's not like, oh, this is your fault, and to the male counterpart, and we're broke now because of you, and I'm leaving, and I could do it by myself. It's like it never works.
That was Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
Right, she leaves because he's broke, and he struggles with his son, and then eventually he was able to get that internship, struggles some more. Eventually he was able to get hired, and then now his son is, him and his son are out here getting it. And
how many black women do you see trying to promote that film, or did you see during that time that it came out, promoting that, or even referring back to it as a great film? They don't care about that. They care about Woman King and other stuff. We can't have movies that portray a black man as responsible, and and at this point, you're right, men in general, because modern women are just like, we could do it all on our own.
Yeah, I would say that's correct. Before, at least white men were untouched on that, but now they're getting it too. So, it's getting played out. It's getting to the point where it's really old.
If you were doing it on your own, you wouldn't be standing here crying on TikTok and all this every other 5 seconds. Oh, it's so hard. Everything's so hard. Work is hard. Raising a child is hard. All those things. Yes, it's true. When you're trying to do everything by yourself, and you want everything to be exactly your way. And when you're also vindictive and trying to strip away any piece that someone else has, which is a lot of times they try to do, but that's not a different topic, but extended topic of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I didn't like the film. I don't think that it needs to be a musical, but hey, someone's creative juices were flowing and they decided to...
They got inspired.
Yeah, they got inspired. But I definitely don't approve of the reinforcement of all these things and the stereotypes, and it really just rubs me the wrong way, especially if they've been doing all this crying for the past 3 years, about, natural beauty and we want black women to be accepted and all this, which I don't know why they need that, but, you want to wear your hair, you don't want to wear it, don't wear your hair. We don't care. Go in the sun, use bleach cream, do whatever you want to do, but leave the rest of us out of it. Get some help. I said that a bunch of times during the movie, too. You know.
No, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to just watch her. I was like, man, this is just no, it's not it for me. I think the get some help thing is good. I think this is going to do is keep pushing people down the path that they're on already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are already. I'm seeing on TikTok recently, a bunch of people are complaining that guys aren't showing up to singles events. I mean, who would want to be in a relationship and create family and kind of, you know, start the next generation if this is the messaging you're putting out? Here's the other unfortunate part. Now, we're seeing this play out in real life. We're having a baby.
I was just going to mention something, but
yes. And so...
I was going to say, we don't usually talk about ourselves, guys.
We don't.
I was going to ask you if you want to... Okay.
Yeah, so we're having a baby, and we're going through these baby classes. And it's unfortunate, the fact that we're the only black couple in these baby classes. The only.
Yeah.
We're not in a city that doesn't have black people in it. We're in Houston.
A lot of black people are in the city.
We're in Houston. And we're the only ones. Us, and then we saw, like, there was one time where I saw an African couple. Well, outside of that...
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is...
Yeah, the Hispanic people, and then...
All this Hispanic people, they're out here, you know, dad, mom together, learning how to do the different stuff. You know, how do you put on diapers and the different skin issues that babies have and all this stuff. The white people don't have a problem. Mom and dad are there.
Yeah.
Right? Us black folks, we have the issue.
We're lagging behind. Even if you want to say the percentages, no, the percentage in Houston is higher. We should definitely see some more black people.
We should see them.
You know.
We don't. And so it's like, movies like this don't help the situation. Right? That's not it. So, yeah, I don't know. If we want to continue the path we're on, yeah, let's go ahead and promote this film. Let's promote more films like that, and let's see our society get ripped apart into shreds. I mean, it's already at a low point now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be fully African now. I just kind of just.
Well, because they watch these movies and they can't just watch it; they have to embody it, and then they start perpetuating the message, and it's like they just become it, and they're just like, "You're right. You felt like Whoopi's character by the end. I was like, I feel abused." You know, but
yeah, I'm sitting here through this nonsense.
Yeah, you mentioned people complaining about or women complaining about men not being present at the singles events or not enough of them. And I was going to ask you, you know, when I said, "Oh, we don't really talk about ourselves," what is the number one question we always get when we're anywhere, even when we're traveling or going places? You know, or I think it's the number one question. Where did you guys meet? How did you guys meet?
Oh,
where did
yeah.
You? Well, usually women asking me, "Where did you meet him?"
That is a question. That's true.
You know, "Oh, how did you guys?" And they're like, it's almost like they're taking notes. And I'm like,
Maybe
I guess I would want to know too, like, because the message they hear is there aren't any good men. All the guys are, you know, gone, or, you know, the things where we don't perpetuate on this show, but you know, oh, jail, and oh, you know, they're bums and all kind of other garbage.
Yeah.
So.
And I would tell them, you know, it's like, well, because the other question that they typically ask, at least me, is, do I have any friends? And
oh yeah.
I usually say,
that might actually be number one.
And it's like, yes, I do have friends. I have, you know, I don't have a whole bunch of friends, but I have a good core group of guys. And no, all of them are married, so
sorry,
can't help you on that one. Actually, I got one single guy. There's one guy, so you can fight over him. That's fine.
But typically, the way they approach, I'm like, you might have to adjust some things, or we could just help you a little bit before you meet them, because I don't know if I'm going to. Yeah, I guess I'll give you a little tip, ladies. I mean, like, I didn't know much about dating. I definitely don't for the past several years because we're together. But coming in and leading with, even for me, it was a turnoff as a woman just talking to you. Oh, my education and my, you know, I'm making X number of figures and I'm the top person at my job. And maybe you don't have anything else to talk about when you meet people or something, but I didn't even ask any of these things. And it's just abrasive and continuous. And let someone else talk.
No.
It's all about me. Okay.
I think there was a date that I was on where I didn't say anything at all besides hi. and I just let her just do her thing, and she was going. I knew everything about her at the end of the date, and she knew nothing about me because I did not talk. And she was okay with it.
And she was probably smiling and thinking everything's going well.
Oh, he's such a great listener. It's like, is that it?
You are, but that's not.
All right. Yeah, we're a hot piece of mess right now. I don't know. And then, of course, if you notice in the media, especially the last week or two, you start seeing all these different celebrity couples, splintering off. Which I don't value celebrity relationships at all. But I also understand that there's a lot of people who do follow these relationships and look at these relationships as like models. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see kind of all this stuff kind of play out. Cardi B, I guess another one was Taylor, forgot her first name. The dancer chick.
Oh, Tiana.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And I guess they tried an open marriage thing and that didn't work, and so, after that this stuff got messy, and now she's like, yeah, I can do bad all by myself.
Yeah.
Nah. So I guess this is what we're doing. Everyone else is seeming to hold themselves together through this situation and that we're in, and we're the only ones that are going to be kind of looking around, twiddling our thumbs, figuring out what's happening.
Yeah.
So.
And you're right. And the models, I don't know, the celebrity models, it's just, I don't know about trying to model yourself after that, model your relationship on that.
I wouldn't.
And it ends up being, okay, they were dissolved because of cheating, or more recently you keep seeing some abusive things coming up. Yeah.
I don't know. That's our take on Color Purple. I won't be watching this new musical, so don't expect a second part 2 to this video.
If you really want us to watch it,
I would have to see a lot of engagement. I would have to see a lot of, because that's going to be a lot for me. Like, this was already a lot. You're asking a lot of me.
I don't even like musicals generally, and so.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right.
I like music separately, but I don't know. It's just why drag this out? Why bring this back in 2023?
I don't know. But what we should bring back? The like and subscribe button.
Yes, you guys like and subscribe. Thanks for being patient with us and sticking with us. We'll be a lot more consistent, and I'm glad to be back.
Mel Melissa's back, y'all.
Woo-hoo.
Glad to see her out, and hopefully we're pumping out some new stuff. See you next time.